Welcome back to Beyond Respect and to NXT Stand And Deliver 2026 out of 10. It's NXT's biggest show of the year, so everyone was on the card, looking to make it as good as possible. We had Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page versus Tony D versus Joe Hendry for the NXT title in the main event, as well as other big matches. So let's get straight into things. And the pre-show featured a huge 10-person mixed tag with Charlie Dempsey, Lexis King, Stack, Shirai Connors and Ariana Grace taking on Hank Tank, Shalala Hill, AEK Prosper and Ren Sinclair. Sinclair and Dempsey haven't had many interactions since NQCC fell apart, so it's interesting to see them on opposite sides. After an initial brawl, Hill and Connors were the first legal competitors, but the tag started right away. A match like this is really going to steal the show because they have to rush from spot to spot, but you can tell all 10 competitors wouldn't want to be forgotten. Even though there were some rough edges, it ended up being a fun contest to kick off the night. Prosper was especially impressive during his time in the ring. Hill ended up scoring a win to get the win, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. A decent match to kick us off. Before we moved on to the main card, we started things off with JC Jane, Lola Vice and Kendall Gray for the women's NXT title, but before that Shawn Michaels introduced Sexy Red as host of the show, and we got some video packages. But Henley, Reed and Sinclair were all at ringside, but Vice was alone. Jane was sent out by the ring by her two challengers before Vice and Gray started fighting. They did a great job pacing the match, so it felt like they were all working quickly towards the end goal and taking time to sell. All three superstars brought their best to the ring, but Gray was a standout. Even with no DQs, it was nice to see the women at ringside staying out the majority of the action, so the three could shine. Sinclair chased Henley and Reed out the arena, so Jane's backup disappeared. They did a great job making it hard to tell who would win, but in the end it was Vice who nailed Jane with a spinning back fist to get the pin and the win. An outstanding start to the show, and really pleased that Vice has got a chance. So I'm going to go an 8 out of 10. On into the tag title match, which was Vanity Project taking on Bravo and Rayo Americano. Vanity Project coming off a loss to Los Americanos in a 6-man tags a few weeks ago, so they were not looking to even the score while also retaining titles. El Grande and Jackson Drake were at ringside. Baylor and Smokes are young, hungry and looking to make an impression, and Rayo and Bravo, both gifted wrestlers, years of experience. It didn't take them long to find their groove as well as their opponents. The match may have been entertaining, but there were moments when it felt like it could have been much better before they dropped the comedy stuff and tried to wrestle the best possible match. Grande slipped the metal plate to Rayo in his mask, but Smokes ended up taking it with him while the ref distracts and put it in his trunks. Bravo tripped him on the top rope, and it's implied that the metal plate caused extra damage. Both teams came close to winning several times in the final stretch, but Drake helped Baylor and Smoke get the win with a cheap shot behind Bravo's back. So yeah, I don't know, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's still a good match. Good win, obviously, for the Vanity Project, but I don't know. I just feel like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate could be doing slightly more than what they're doing with this jokey mask in it. But yeah, maybe that's just me. 7 out of 10. We then got Zarya facing Soul Worker in a grudge match. The breakdown and showdown have been simmering for months, so there's a lot of pressure on them to pay it off well. And Ruka wasted no time going after Zarya. She ran to the ring and hit a springboard clothesline before her music had stopped playing. The ref called for the bell and the action got underway. Ruka kept up the aggression for a moment, but once Zarya regained her footing, she started overpowering and throwing Ruka around. They slowed the pace down and so Zarya could keep Ruka grounded, but once it became a back and forth fight, they started to pick up steam again. Ruka hit the stall satchel on the steel ramp and ended another in the ring, but Zarya managed to kick out. The high flyer then kicked out an F5 and tried to get through her former friend for a brief moment, but all it did was fire her up. Ruka managed to recover and hit a third stall snatcher to finally secure the victory, and a fun encounter. But yeah, you get the feeling there's more coming for this story, and I wouldn't be against it, to be honest. 7 out of 10. Moving on into Miles Bourne versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT title. After months of sulking backstage, Johnny Takeover was hoping to get his groove back. The initial exchange, Gargano went down the ring and seemed to be falling back into his depression, but it was just to sucker Bourne in so he could take him down. In many ways, this was a test for Bourne. Gargano's one of the best talents to ever pass through NXT, so having him challenge Bourne was a chance to prove that he can hang on his level. Candice interfered to help her husband and almost followed him to win with a Gargano escape, but Bourne fought his way to the bottom rope. In the end, Bourne prevailed to retain his title in a highly enjoyable match. The crowd didn't look too excited about the outcome, but it was the right long-time decision. Dion attacked Bourne from behind with a steel chair after Gargano had left the ring, slamming the champion onto the chair and leaving him lying. So it looks like that will be the next challenger. I think, right move. Well, hopefully Gargano gets a better run on the main roster coming up, and I think that's an interesting next few coming up, as well as a decent match beforehand. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. We then got the Women's North American Championship match with Tatum Paxley defending against Blake Monroe, who may have had the bell in her possession, but she was still the challenger. Paxley went after Monroe before the bell, so the ref quickly called for the bell and allowed to continue. After Paxley was slammed onto the steel ramp, she began favouring her left shoulder, so Monroe targeted it immediately. The way this match was built would have been better if it had some kind of hardcore match between these two, because the physicality here did not line up with the animosity these two were supposed to have. It even got better as the bout progressed, but it felt like it never reached the level required. They came close close at the end though. It looked like Monroe was going to get the win after a ground shot, but Paxi kicked out and hitting her own finisher for the pin and the win, which I think was probably the right decision. So yeah, on the whole, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to the 4-way main event, Tony D and Hendry took out Saints and Page before squaring off. They traded shots until their other two opponents got back in the ring to keep fighting. Saints and Page had an easy alliance, but allowed them to control pace for a bit. But as soon as one of them had issues to try and get the win, they had issues. The talent of all four competitors was well known, so it's not surprising they worked together in an entertaining match. Hendry retaining seemed like the obvious outcome, so ending with a title change was a bit of a surprise. Everyone did good work here, but Tony D definitely stood out the most. This was one of his best performances in a long time because he wasn't putting out moves you wouldn't expect to see from him. After taking Saints and Page by putting them through the announce table, Tony D hit a huge spear on Hendry to become the new champion. And yeah, I think he deserves it so much. Possibly Hendry will go up to the main roster, but I'm so pleased for Tony D. Yeah, definitely deserves this opportunity, and I'm very excited to see what he does with the belt. Overall, Stand and Deliver was an entertaining show from top to bottom. WWE's been on a shaky ground recently, but this was a solid outing. The men and women's belts ended up being the best thing on the show, which is a good indication that the right people are at the top of the card. The fact that both titles changed hands will help add some buzz, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Vice and Tony D do. Yeah, when WWE programming is hitting this, it's always good to have a pretty solid NXT pay-per-view. So yeah, 7 out of 10 from me. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.